Hello and welcome back to the Damon Rowan podcast. I'm Damon Rowan, and this week we're going to be discussing how to manage and improve your energy. So when looking to get on top of things and managing and improve your energy, this is obviously something that's going to help you get more out of your day to day and become a more fulfilled and productive person as a result. So to start out, it's good to take an assessment of what you're doing right now and try to consider the factors that are affecting your energy levels so you can improve upon them. So here I'm just going to list off a few of the general indicators that your energy levels are being affected negatively. So the first one's a fairly common one in that you hit the snooze button in the mornings, you sleep in until you have to get up, and you regularly struggle to get out of bed in the morning. And the next one is that you might find that you need coffee or caffeine for most days as a source of energy and experience extreme highs and lows in your energy levels throughout the day. Another one is you can regularly feel like you're running behind on your plans and find it difficult to stay on top of everything because you're low on energy. And another one can be you aren't sleeping well and you have to find that you have to catch up on sleep on the weekend or on your day off because the sleep quality is lacking. And the other thing can be like putting off the gym or exercising, or it's essentially putting off things that you'd like to be doing and you know you'd like to be at, but you aren't because you feel too tired. So these indicators are just a few of the things that can be affected in your day-to-day life by not having enough energy. So next we're going to look at assessing your current energy levels and how they can be improved by taking the necessary action. So to begin, start by assessing your current energy levels on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being that you're full of energy and able to carry out all your tasks each day, and 10 being that you regularly feel too tired to even get out of bed. So try to put some thought into this and record the score you give yourself to serve as a point of comparison, so once you begin to change and make improvements, you can have that as a point of reference that you can refer back to and see if you're actually improving upon it. And so after you've done all that, we can then start to take a look into a few of the practices that you can apply in attempting to improve your energy levels. So here I'm just going to list off some of the more common factors affecting people's energy levels. Some of them might resonate with you more than others, and then you can apply them in how to improve your energy levels and manage them better. So first one is caffeine and sugar intake. So for most people that have low energy levels, they usually experience extreme highs and lows relating to their energy throughout the day. And the goal with this tip is to reduce the severity of these highs and lows so that you're not always battling between the two and have a more consistent, regulated energy levels to help you throughout the day. So this is going to take a lot of the stress off you as you'll build confidence in knowing you're balancing your energy, and then you don't have to worry about experiencing spikes and lulls in your energy across the day. So first off, with caffeine, I want to start out by saying I'm not demonizing caffeine. I use it myself most days and I find it still has a lot of benefits that can help you out. So let's begin by recognizing the good effects that caffeine has to offer. So first off, it increases your concentration, your alertness and your performance, gives you an improved mood, gives you a mental and physical boost for taking on tasks like large workloads or exercising, and actually has some indications that it can prevent disease like diabetes, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So while caffeine has good things to offer, it's also important to recognise and understand how caffeine can be affecting you negatively. So here we're going to take a look at some of the possible negative effects that caffeine can offer. So first off, it can increase your stress hormone, which is cortisol. It can give you GI problems, blood sugar swings, sleep problems, increased PMS and menopausal symptoms, nutritional deficiencies in calcium, magnesium, potassium, iron and trace minerals, and it can also give you cardiovascular problems due to increased blood pressure. Now, it should be noted that these factors are all affected by a multitude of things in how much caffeine you're taking in on a daily basis, how much caffeine affects you as an individual, and it may not even be caffeine that's contributing to these issues at all. The only reason I'm listing these possible negative effects is so that you can be that bit more mindful in how you approach your caffeine intake. So after gaining that bit of insight into the pros and cons of caffeine, next we're going to take a look at what happens when we eat sugary foods and how they affect our energy. So when you eat a high carbohydrate and sugary food, you're going to experience a spike in energy and you'll feel good because the hormone dopamine is released as a result. And shortly after this spike, your blood sugar is going to come crashing down and drop below the normal range, and this drop then leaves you feeling hungry, irritable, tired, anxious and lack mental clarity, i.e. brain fog. And so by this time you'll likely want to feel better again, so the natural reaction is to get more food or drink more coffee or caffeine and repeat this process again. Now for most people, they likely aren't considering or paying attention to all these details when it comes to eating food and drinking coffee, and to be fair, why would you? Like, you probably do know your own thing and you're trying to get through the day anyway, so it's probably the last thing in your mind. But it's usually cycling between these two that causes the most of the issues relating to energy levels and energy balance for people. So to help with this, one of the more important aspects of having balanced energy levels is to keep your blood sugar levels steady, and then you'll be less susceptible to experiencing these spikes and the highs and lows in your energy that comes with that. So say if you have a diet that includes a lot of coffee or caffeine along with high carbohydrate and sugary foods and you want to work towards having a better balance in your energy, the first thing I'd advise is that you don't quit having these foods and drinks cold turkey. The reason I say this is because your body is likely grown used to working with these foods to get its energy, and cutting them out entirely can actually lead to some unwanted side effects and making very difficult for you to stick to. So instead, try taking small steps in reducing the amount of sugary foods and caffeine drinks that you have on a daily basis, and that's going to help you to actively improve in reducing them and becoming less dependent on them as a source of energy over time. So here's just a few tips that can help in making that transition easier for you. So the first thing you can try is to swap out your coffee and replace it with tea or water. So coffee is a natural diuretic in that it can make you thirsty. So this is why having coffee in the morning when you're already thirsty after sleeping all night isn't going to help. And if anything, it'll make you likely that you want to get a second coffee shortly after. So replacing it with something like tea or water is obviously going to help you in becoming more hydrated, but also you can actually become less dependent on coffee or caffeine itself. And the next thing is that you can swap out sweet treats for fruit and add in proteins and fats if you can. So having a piece of fruit instead of a processed sugary food is going to help you better regulate your blood sugars, and a bonus would be adding in some form of protein and or fat, so maybe nuts or peanut butter, and that'll help further regulate both your energy and your blood sugars. And the last tip can be to practice mindful eating and drinking. So this ties into recognizing your body cues and understanding what you need and when. So for example, while it may be a habit to have coffee every morning, if you feel you wake up like you got enough sleep and feel good already, then try to skip the coffee as it isn't needed and have a glass of water or tea instead. Another example is if you come home from work and feel an energy slump, if it's a regular habit to have something sugary around this time, try to replace that with something like a healthier alternative that will complement your energy levels better. What this point really emphasizes is that so much of what we do is automatic and can be entirely based off of habit at times, so the idea is to be more conscious of what you're doing and trying to find ways of improving this so to help your habits work better for you. And by practicing this all regularly, you become better at understanding what to give your body and what it needs, instead of just giving it the same things that you just do because you're used to eating and drinking those things at particular times of the day. And that fairly much covers caffeine and sugar intake. And the next thing I want to move on to is your sleep. So obviously sleep is another large factor that can affect your energy levels throughout the day. And the goal here is to aim for improving your quality of sleep, and then you can work on the quantity of how much sleep you get. So this is because your body naturally works better if you have good quality sleep, whereas sleeping poorly but for longer won't necessarily have as good an effect. So that said, it's good to aim to get an average of between 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. So like with coffee and sugar intake, it's important to understand why sleep can have such effect on your energy levels. And to do this, let's take a look at some of the qualities attached to poor sleep and sleep quality. So things like mood swings, memory issues, diminished creativity and problem solving skills, increased risk of depression, trouble with concentration and focus, you have a weakened immunity so you're more likely to get ill or sick, increased risk of diabetes, blood pressure and stroke, from weight gain because you have increased appetite and hunger as a result of getting poor sleep, decreased libido, and you're more prone to making mistakes and accidents. So after considering a few of the negative qualities that affect you as a result of poor sleep, to help better prioritize your sleep, here are a few things that you can try for yourself. So first off is try to keep phones away from you and out of the bedroom. So for most people, phones can be a huge distraction to getting good sleep. And the reason for this is because of the blue light that phones and other screens emit, which affects melatonin production in the brain and therefore worsens your quality of sleep and how long it takes to fall asleep. And the next thing you can try is to create an evening routine. So similar to how a morning routine works in that it helps set you up for the day, a good evening routine can help you wind down for the day and be able to achieve an improved quality of sleep. And the next thing is actually a thing that can go hand in hand with an evening routine, in that you set up a regular bedtime. So when possible, try to go to bed around the same time each night, and this not only helps with routine, but your body will adjust and get you used to going to bed at the same time, and then you'll wind down naturally when you practice this consistently, which will also lead to an improved sleep. And the final thing you can look into is to consider a sleep test to rule out other health issues. So if you're taking all the other measures necessary to improve your sleep but still fail to notice an improvement, it may be worth talking to your doctor about a sleep test to rule out health issues and ensure you're getting the sleep that you need to function healthily. So one indicator of underlying health issues is if you snore during your sleep, but there's other symptoms that you can look into in your own time and develop a better understanding of sleep quality and the health issues that might be affecting you related to that. So the next thing I want to go on to that might be affecting your energy levels is exercise. So I can go on all day about listing the amount of benefits you receive from regular exercise. However, in the context of improving your energy levels, exercise has a number of positive aspects to offer, and here are just a few. So first off is endorphins. So most people feel really good after exercise, and this is because we release feel-good hormones called endorphins, and although you expend energy when you exercise, you'll likely feel re-energized in that you can go on and do more things because those endorphins give you a positive mental boost and prepare you better to carry out difficult tasks, which helps you improve your energy levels and productivity as a result. And the next aspect is that exercise helps you to improve your sleep quality, so as it relieves tension and stress and allows you to move your body, helping you to use up any pent up energy you may have or stress that you have from being inactive. And this feeds into my next point in that it relieves stress. So usually people who have poor sleep are dealing with higher levels of stress on a regular basis, and exercise can be a great way of alleviating this stress, and it allows you to let out that tension. So combining this with the endorphins and sense of achievement you get from regular exercise further compounds the value that you get out of exercise. And all of this then ties into improving your energy, as you aren't as weighed down by burdens of stress and have a healthy, active outlet to release it. And the next point I want to make is that movement brings more movement. So the explanation behind this point is simple, in that the more you move and stay active regularly on a daily basis, the more likely you are to continue to stay active and doing things throughout the day. At the same time, the more you sit down and relax and do nothing, the more likely you are to continue doing that also. So it's also useful to put into perspective that if you want to lead a healthy, active lifestyle, much of that comes from being active, so you have to practice that regularly to see the results. And the last thing is that it improves immunity. So regular exercise helps to keep your immune system working properly, as it keeps you healthy and helps to release unwanted toxins that build up in the body. Having more energy then naturally becomes a byproduct of being healthier and active, and then you'll have more energy as a result of that. Now, just for some general recommendations surrounding exercise, the CDC, that's the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, states that adults up to the age of 64 need about 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise each week. So that'd be some light exercise like maybe brisk walking or jogging or something, and then along with 2 or more days per week of muscle strengthening activities that work all the major muscle groups, and that's the legs, hips, back, abdomen, chest, shoulders and arms. Now, while this may look like a lot of work, you don't necessarily need to do this much exercise each week, especially if you're relatively new to fitness and just starting out. So what I recommend is to break down the 150 minutes into smaller, more manageable chunks. For example, say 30 minutes of exercise for 5 days per week. And from here, depending on your level of ability, you can start out with some gentle exercises like yoga or walking. And if you're able to advance on from there, then you can start experimenting with other more demanding forms of exercise, for example HIIT or resistance or weight training. And the idea is not to work yourself as hard as you can, but rather prepare your body to begin handling more regular activity and movement, so down the line you'll be able to progress and take on more. So now that you have an idea of the benefits of exercise regarding energy and how much you should be exercising, the next thing you want to move on to is come up with your own ideas of how you like to exercise. So try to pick something you find fun and engaging, and something that you think you'll enjoy coming back to on a regular basis. And after that, you can find where exercise best fits into your routine. So the main goal is that you find a way of moving your body most days and staying active, and this will eventually make exercise a regular habit that takes little effort but has a big payoff in making you feel good and energetic. So after considering exercise, the next thing I want to talk about in managing your energy is that you should take small breaks. So a great quote by Anne Lamott is that almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, and that includes you. And that definitely holds true these days, as constant productivity and hustling towards your goals are pushed as being the only way you can make meaningful progress, and that can actually convince you that that's the truth. Like, it's not uncommon for people to brag about how much they work for like 16, 18 hours, maybe 20-hour days, and that they have a kind of I'll rest when I'm dead mentality. And while this mindset can be useful in getting you to hunker down and get hours of deep work in, it's also important to recognize that when you need to rest. So including short mini breaks in between your work is actually a great way of striking a balance, recharging the batteries, and actually can benefit you a lot in performing a better quality of work when you return to it. So here I'm just going to go over some of the positive aspects of taking short breaks. So one, it gives you perspective, and many times when you're doing work you can get caught in a certain thought process or certain thought loops, and while this can be useful for deep work, it can also make you miss the bigger picture, and making your problem solving abilities and ability to think clear more difficult. So having a short rest that can allow you to assess your work and apply perspective allows you to evaluate how you're doing, and if anything can be refined or improved upon that. The second one is that it relieves tension. So usually when you're engaged in work, you're fixed on the task at hand and can forget about things like comfort. So for example, say you're hunching over a desk for hours, and you can lead to a sore back and tight neck muscles. And with the introduction of short breaks, you allow your body time to recover from intense concentration and relieve much of that tension, loosening the muscles and allowing you to work more comfortably when you return to it. And the last one is that it can reduce decision fatigue. So to define decision fatigue, it refers to the deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision making, and decision fatigue occurs on a daily basis. So you'll likely be making better decisions earlier in the day, whereas later in the day you might naturally make worse decisions. So for example, have you ever come home from a hard day at work and feel tension and that you have a short fuse and you can snap over small things, and it's making you more susceptible to being angry or in a bad mood more easily than most other times? And another example would be like maybe ordering a takeaway. It's more likely to occur later on in the evenings or at night, and this is likely because you've had so many decisions throughout the day. Even small ones like choosing your clothes for the day can affect it, and that decision fatigue has compounded and made you more likely to make worse decisions for yourself later on in the day. And so now that you have an idea on why small breaks can be beneficial to your energy levels, your health, your mood, and your work productivity, here's a few ideas on what you could do during those breaks. So during those breaks, you could take a lunch break, you could take a walk, you could read a book, or you can even practice mindfulness or some sort of breathing exercises that'll help you actually relieve some of the stress or tension that you felt from the work, and then you can go on and do better again. So you can essentially do anything you like on your break. These are just suggestions, but the main goal is that you shift your attention and perspective away from what you were working on, and then work on finding when and how long a break works best for you. So for example, each hour you could do 45 to 50 minutes of work and take the remaining 10 to 15 minutes to have a small break that sets you up for this work cycle again at a more productive rate. So use an alarm clock to help remind you that you can try to build breaks into becoming a natural habit alongside your work, and it'll help you maintain your energy and interest in your work throughout the day. And the last factor affecting your energy levels that I want to touch on is managing your stress. So I've touched on this on a few of the previous points, and although we usually think of stress as kind of this negative aspect in our lives, it's good to also recognize stress when it can be useful. So for example, good stress is usually infrequent and only lasts for a short period of time. So for example, say you have to study for a test, or you have to turn in a project at work. The good type of stress will help you get the necessary work done, so it pushes you to do that. And this type of stress is useful because it helps you to focus, get energy, and push through tough challenges. Whereas on the other hand, there's also bad stress. So this is stress where it becomes an issue and it's chronic and continuous. So this can also be important to recognise whether the cause of this type of stress is really worth stressing over. So as oftentimes people allow themselves to become stressed over things in situations that aren't essential or life altering, and bad stress can affect you negatively in a number of ways, such as altering your mood, your relationships, blood pressure, blood sugar, lowering your immunity, hormone balance, energy levels, and your ability to lose weight. So now that you're aware of the differences between good and bad stress, there's a few ways that you can work on managing that stress. So the first thing would be to practice improving on any of the other tips I've already mentioned, in that limiting your caffeine and sugar, improving your sleep, try to exercise or take small breaks. You can also practice meditation or breathing exercises as a way to calming yourself. So you can use apps like Calm or Headspace for guided help on that. Another thing is that you can release frustration through finding a healthy outlet to release that frustration through. So this can be something like exercise, going for a walk, or reading, or trying to pick something that you enjoy and it forces you to engage in something else that takes your mind off things and the things that were stressing you out. And the final tip is, I would say, to learn to say no. So a cause for stress for many people is coming from being too agreeable. So although it can be a nice thing to be obliging to other people, it's also important to ensure you're doing enough to keep yourself happy too. So you probably heard before that trying to please everyone won't please yourself. And this is true in the sense that if you spend all your time running around doing things for other people, you likely won't have time for doing the things you want to do yourself and enjoy doing. So try learning to say no more often, so you make time for yourself regularly and you can manage your stress better and take care of yourself better as a result. And that pretty much covers everything I wanted to get across in managing and improving your energy levels. So you can try them out for yourself, see how you go, and let me know how you get on with them. I'd actually be interested in seeing how you do and what results you can get from them. And that covers episode 4 of the podcast. Thanks very much for listening. Have an awesome week, and I'll catch you next Wednesday for a new podcast episode. Bye.